We are live. We are live. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Welcome, everybody. Sorry about that rather loud introduction there. It was just in case something untoward may have been said. We we have a great evening lined up. I know. Those of you who are familiar, we've got the wonderful Jack from Denmark talking to us. And tonight our topic is all about healing. Jack, sir, firstly, thank you. And as always, so indebted to you for giving up your time. Greatly appreciated. And we must also say hello to the lovely Lola, who is just off camera there at the side, eating chocolate biscuits. So hello, there we go. Hello, Lola. Good evening, everybody joining us. Good evening, Monique. How are you, my darling? Arisha, Pam, Lynn, Sheena. Hello, darling. Patrick, good evening, sir. So yes, tonight's topic is healing. Come on, Lawrence, get on with the business. Get on with the job in hand. Jack, yes. Healing. I asked you if you practice and worked as a healer. Your response was so encouraging that I decided, yes, we need to talk and we need to share this. So if you could just give a little bit of background about how you started on your healing journey, please.
Yes, sure will. And first of all, thank you for inviting me again. It started for about 25 years ago, where I was about 15, I think. Something like that, maybe a few years older, but it was what I have a background as a builder. I have a big military background and things, so my background is quite a lot away from spirituality in different forms. But when my mother-in-law at that time, back in '96, passed away after a short period of time with sickness, there was kind of change in my awareness. And I was told, you are going to heal and things like that. And I was like, okay. I said to the lady that told me, okay, but then I guess you have a course I can take or something. No, she said. She was selling courses, but no, she said, you just have to do it from the heart. I was like, okay, she don't want to sell me anything, but she wants me to start to heal. Mm-hmm. So to make this story short, I was trying to look around and asking people, what should I do, and things. I got some advice, and I started to ask people, oh, would you like to be a guinea pig for me? So and those people started coming to me, and was sitting there, closed my eyes and sitting there, but wasn't really aware of what was going on. But the response I had from all those people was amazing. I was like really surprised about it. Then some years later, I met a great trance medium. I started my mediumistic development towards the evidential mediumship. These days, most people know me as an evidential medium, but at that time, I was a healer. I'm still a healer, and healing is in my heart. But what I realized through that, I met one weekend. There was a weekend about trance, and a great trance medium, Libby Clark, came and should do an introduction for us. And she took me out of the crowd and said, "Oh, Jack, can I just demonstrate something with you?" She took me into a trance, and it was like, oh, I know what this is. I realized those years I've been doing healing before, I actually had was going into this trance state without knowing what I was doing. It was just a natural way for me to go into that altered state of consciousness. And then I became always been very interested in the healing. I got interested in trance as well as the evidential mediumship. But tonight we'll just talk about healing. So I started to do my own kind of research on healing. So I took some courses and things. I was having more people coming for healing. I was going deeper into the trance state, took some trance courses and things. I started looking around the world. I've been a couple of times in Brazil to study both the trance, but especially the healing there. I got some healing there. I got my own back fixed by healing in Brazil. I've been suffering with a really bad back since my teenage years. But in 2008, I was in Brazil, and without anybody touched me, I got this healing where my back was fixed, and since that, my back has been quite good actually. Of course, I can still have pain sometimes, if a cold or a cold back, or done some things stupid as anybody can have a sore back, but it's. But in general, I got rid of this constant pain I had in my back, and I thought that was really interesting. So my studies of healing. So what I will talk about tonight is not out from what somebody have told me, what somebody have taught me, what I have read in books, but through my own research and my own experiences. Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. Just very quickly, welcome everybody who's just recently joined us. The room tonight is full of actually really accomplished healers, so we are in absolutely magical company tonight. So thank you all for joining us. A lot of what you said there really resonated, Jack. I love the part about I'm stood there not really quite sure what I'm doing and not sure what's happening. Ditto. I'm stood there, I feel like a fraud, because I'm not engaging with this. But it evolves. Wonderful that you can find your own path, because a big topic of discussion that keeps coming to light at the moment is sometimes with certain institutes and different parties who tell you they're going to train you how to be a healer. An awful lot of their teaching techniques are telling you, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do this, you don't do that. And you've got to invest quite a lot of time, and in some cases, quite a lot of money also in that. It's very interesting. I get it from both sides. I really do. I do understand, we've got to have the basics there. If I am working with anybody, either sex, on their own, I will always offer, do you want the third party in there just to feel secure, because that's common courtesy. The areas as a healer or whatever you're doing that are absolute no-nos, and it's all about respect. You're treating the people the same respect as you treat spirit when you work with them. But it's such one of the really good things about this time is we can have discussions about that and hear other people's unfoldments and share our own tales of unfoldment, and not to feel alone, which I think is beautiful. We have a brilliant, I'm not saying this because they're here at Poole. I would say this about our healing group wherever they are. They are par excellence. They are a wide variety of people, all sorts of backgrounds. And in that alone allows them to resonate with a bigger congregation of people seeking healing. And they're all in it for the heart. Not one of them is ego. They're all in it for the heart and their duty and devotion. So absolutely wonderful. It's going to be good tonight. I know it. And I'm going to have to come up to speed here to catch up with you.
Sure you will, without problems.
Yeah.
But as you're talking about, it's not I think in mediumship in general, it shouldn't be about the ego, and especially not with the healing. The healing should be about the healing, about the client, about. But to me, now you talked about different techniques. You can go on courses, take education and things, learn different techniques. And that's, to me, is the right word, different techniques. For me, there's only two forms of healing. There's spiritual healing, and there's what I call magnetic or mental healing. And like when we separate, when we're talking about mediumship and psychic, we should separate them. It's two different things. Not that one is better than the other. It's just different. The same way for me with the healing. With the spiritual healing, we use the spiritual energy. We use our guides, helpers, loved ones, and whoever comes in the room. I'll go a little bit deeper into that in a minute. Then we have what I call the mental or the magnetic healing, where we use our own energy. Where we're going, if I was going to give you a healing, Lawrence, using magnetic or mental healing, I would use my energy to go into your energy. I would go in and see, where does Lawrence have issues? I will concentrate the healing on those areas. You involve yourself. It's a really effective, really sudden healing you can create there.
Do you know what?
And I know it's a form of healing that most people actually use, especially when we have kids. What do we do when our kids comes and say, it hurts and does things and so like that? We'll put our hand on them, quite natural. Say, come on, I'll take that away from you. And that's where the ego is coming in. It's all good. It's what we should do with our kids, of course. I'm not saying anything wrong with it. We just have to be aware of, because we want to be so much good for other people. We'll lift their burdens mentally, physically, emotionally. So if I was going to you or somebody else a healing, going in there and say, "Oh, Laurie, I can see your knees is hurting. I can see you have an emotional some emotional issues. Let me heal that for you. Let me take that away from you. I will take that away. I will take it to myself." We often hear healers talk about after the healing, they have to cleanse themselves. Because they're taking all that into their own energy to clean it out.
That is so fascinating.
Effective, but we have to think about what's it doing to us as a healer. Okay. When I'm talking about spiritual healing, I'm talking about creating a room through my mediumship.
Yeah.
A room, of course, I will be in the room, the client will be in the room, but I won't interact with the client as such. In general, I will base my healing on a prayer. And a quite simple prayer. It's I just say it within something like, "My God, my Creator, as I'm here in front of you today, I'll create this room for healing. I'll invite you, my guides, helpers, and whoever is going to join within this healing. And then I will just focus on, I'm going to hold this room for my client. And for those that is doing the healing. To me, that is spiritual healing. I can have hands on, I can have hands off, doesn't matter really.
Yeah.
But I'll just use my mediumship to create that room, and use my ability to communicate with spirit, to invite them to join that room, to take care of that healing. When I have done that, all I have to do is just hold that room, Mentally, I can go out and have a cup of coffee or whatever I'm doing, basically. As long as I just have the focus, I'm going to hold this room.
I love that.
You know?
I absolutely love that.
For me, as I said, I will often, not always, but I will often go into a trance state, because in the trance state, for me, it's a way for me to put my own conscious as far away as possible, because I don't want to be involved in the healing.
Yeah.
It's really powerful healing. But as I said, the mental or magnetic healing is very powerful as well. It's just different. The thing for me with the spiritual healing, creating this room, I'm not using my own energy. But my experience is I can sit there, I can do 10, 15 healings a day. Often we hear healings, I can only do 2 or 3 healings because then I'm worn out, I'm tired, I don't have any more energy.
Yeah.
And if you have that feeling, that's to me a sign that you're using too much of your own energy.
Yeah.
In the other way, if you create that room, invite spirit, God, guides, helpers, whoever you invite in to take care of the healing, trust me, they'll take care of you as a healer, first of all, because they want to make sure that you can hold that room throughout the healing.
Indeed.
So they will come and support you in that. Make sense?
Vast, absolutely vast. So interesting that you mentioned magnetic healing. I've been talking to a gentleman that made his acquaintance with our work with the Spiritists, and he's agreed to give an evening's talk coming up on healing from the Spiritist point of view. And that phrase, magnetic healing, they use an awful lot.
Yeah.
So when you just said it, I'm like, I love it when this comes in.
Yes.
There's a question. Well, when you get these synchronicities, I'm just like, yeah, we're on the right track. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
There's a question here which will lead very nicely, I think, into when we're talking about spiritual healing.
Yes.
From the lovely Lynn, who is a healer here. And she's asking, so many renowned healers have had spirit doctors working through them. How does that happen? And have you had that experience?
And that's a really good question. It's actually a question I have been thinking a lot about, because I've had that question from myself as well. I know a lot of people is talking about those spirit doctors, and some are naming them, some are not, just calling them spirit doctors. To me, like when through my studies in Brazil, they have those spirit doctors that is named and investigated, coming through doing the healing there. Quite an amazing study I've done there. But to myself, to me, I was told years ago at the Fenley College that there was a doctor with me within my healings. I said, oh, that's fine. So when I was doing my healings, I was looking for this doctor. And every time I went to that healing and I asked for that doctor to step forward to show himself or herself to me, that was long. I just had an image of a young chap with long blonde hair. I was like, "Oh, you're not a doctor. Go away, go away." To me, a doctor would be an elderly, distinguished man. That's my image of a doctor. What I realized that was every time I asked the doctor to step in to the healings, the clients described things happening that sounded like a spiritual surgeon sometimes. you know. I was like, I'm not quite sure what is going on here, but I realized that this young man I had the image of. I had a client on the bench there. I asked the doctor to step in, and and after the healing shit, she was a medium, a psychic herself. She said to me after, "Oh, it's so interesting watching because this chap came in, started doing so and so and so. She had what it's called a polyp, what's called a little thing in her throat, and that was released during the healing. After the healing, she coughed and it came out.
Wow.
And she described this man that did this to her, and that was that young bloke I had dismissed so many times. I think we have to remember when spirits, guides, helpers, loved ones, whatever we call them, steps into a healing, they are coming as an energy. Yeah. The images we are putting on them is ours. We have to remember they don't have a physical look because they're only an energy.
Yeah.
So if they're doctors or not, one thing I'm sure of that is those that is stepping in and taking part of those healings, they have some knowledge of what is going on either on the client or with the healer, and they have a big what can I call it? like a database. They have a lot, they have that direct connection with spirit. Like when we are going on internet, looking out, asking a question. Oh, how I'm going to treat my bad knee or something like that. They're just doing that all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not the one that is in. Oh, I might be a doctor, but I'm just a daily doctor. I don't know how to do a surgeon or something. But I know somebody else that can. So I'll just get somebody else in to take part in this healing. Me as a healer, I'm not necessarily aware of. I might be aware of the one, the daily doctor that is coming in first, but because he is filling the room and just being, how can I put it? Like if you are in a hospital, you have this operation room where you put in do all the operation. You have somebody there to that is in charge and telling everybody else what to do.
Yeah, you have a team.
Yeah, you don't need to know about everybody. You just need to have that faith and that trust within the company you have with spirits, and just put the faith and trust in their ability. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a surgeon. I can't deal with any of those things. But I know that those that are stepping in, and that's just through my experience, they know really much about what they're doing and how they're doing it.
That is brilliant. We had a animal healer here a little while back, and talking to him, and at that time one of my cats needed a bit of healing, and I said, I give him healing every day. And he said, have you asked for a vet to step in? And I went, no. But when he said it, I just thought, how simple is this? This is so lovely.
Yeah.
I've got a poorly animal. So, yeah, I would like a vet to come in. And when we use the term doctor, you can be a doctor of medicine, you can be a doctor of urology, you can be a doctor of so many different things.
Definitely.
But I like the data doctor. I like that phrase. That's going to stick. I do like that. We're going to have a data doctor for a while. But yeah, that really does make an awful lot of sense, Jack. Absolutely. We have a comment here from Julie Erickson, and she's just saying, I like what you said about trance state developing naturally through giving healing. I felt the same happen to me without realizing. Now, when I go into a trance state, it feels the same or very similar to giving healing. And thank you for your confirmation.
Yeah, and I know it happens for a lot of healers without being aware of it. They're going into that, if not into a trance state, they're going into a deeper altered state.
Yeah.
It's happened naturally for many healers, especially healers that is really doing the spiritual healing, because you kind of need to go into that altered state to create that room to connect with spirit, like when we're doing any other form of mediumship. We might be very much awake that way, but we will go into an altered state.
Yeah. I had my first experience of that during healing a few months back. Something had changed and I suddenly found myself not present.
Yeah.
And I found that fascinating. I absolutely, afterwards, I was just like, that is so interesting. I need to know how that works. Comment here from Joanne Lewis. I love doing healing. I just love the ability to be of service and to be able to help those beautiful souls that come for healing. I just enjoy doing God's work. To me, that sums up a healer. To me, that sums up why we're here.
Yeah.
To be of service.
Yeah. And as I said, I'm when I have somebody coming for healing, doing healing, I just do a prayer, basically.
I
the
like
same
that.
way as when I'm preparing myself for doing a demonstration of mediumship, bringing loved ones through. I'll do a prayer for myself to invite those into my energy, the same way I do when I'm preparing the healing.
Yeah. Look out, Paul Healing Circle. Guess what you're going to be doing in the week on Monday? Lovely Leslie Moulton from, there's a lot of Wimbledon church in tonight. The place is overrun by the Wombles, as they're affectionately known.
Yes.
Leslie, great teacher. When I needed a kickstart to my healing, I went up to Wimbledon to do a day's workshop with Leslie. And really, I really respect this lady on her dedication and commitment to healing. And she's just reaffirming about you should never use your own energy when healing. So yeah, when applied to spiritual healing, absolutely correct. But this magnetic healing is very interesting because in a way, I suppose magnetic healing and spiritual healing, if we were to put that another way, we could be talking about what is psychic and what is mediumistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly. So I think I have realized that I've met many healers. I've been Reiki healers, Dixa healers, or theta healers, all different kind of healers. They've all been told when, for example, when you're a lot of people have been taught like, now you have been taught Reiki, so you're a spiritual healer. But if nobody have told them the difference, I see a lot of, I have seen nothing wrong with Reiki or any other healing techniques. But it's very much about the mindset you're going in with. So,
Indeed.
like with Reiki, you have these hand positions. I've seen a lot of Reiki healers thinking they're doing spiritual healing, doing all these different things they have learned as a technique. It's a beautiful form of beautiful techniques for healing. But because that they haven't had a tutor that could tell them, oh, you're actually on a magnetic or a mental healing, that is actually what you're doing. But they're thinking they're doing spiritual healing because nobody have been able to tell them about the difference.
Yeah, very good point.
I know a lot of people actually think that like Reiki, like Reiki is a form of spiritual healing. Reiki is a technique. Like Dixa is a technique, and many different techniques for healing. They're all really good and a really good way to start the healing journey.
Yes, a lot.
But as we have talked about before, in any kind of work and teaching within spirituality or any other things, if the teacher is not aware of those small things, how can they teach other people them? So if you have been on a course, been taught Reiki, you have gone through Reiki 1, 2, and 3, you have got your certificate. Now you are actually certified to go out to be a teacher. So you will go out teaching Reiki, but you don't know about the difference between really doing spiritual healing and doing magnetic healing. So how can you teach your student that? You have all the certificates.
Yeah.
You know. So to me, it's just important to, and I think that's why I've put so much effort into do my own studies, not only with healing but with mediumship and everything. What I've been working with within the spiritual things is the importance for me to understand the background, understand the mechanics, and understand what is actually going on. Much more important that which technique am I going to use today. I said the techniques is really good, and I know a lot of people that have gained so much from taking Reiki courses or Dixa courses or whatever kind of healing technique that have been learned, and nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you can have healers that never have learned techniques. I thought at the time, I'm going to take some healing courses. Going to take some healing courses like Reiki or something, because I need some papers on my healing. Thinking, I'm going to take some courses in about how is the body put together and all these things. But I realized if I'm doing that, I might spoil what I've practiced and trained for so many years. Because suddenly my mind becoming more conscious of what I'm going to do now. Where does Lawrence have issues? Where should I put the energy?
Yeah.
You know, I've tried to be. It's rarely I'm going for healing with healers for myself, because I just like, if I need healing for myself, I'll sit down and do the prayer and ask them to come and heal me, basically, or I'll give some healing to somebody else because I know I will be healed at the same time. Then, but sometimes you can go to a healer and the healer can tell you everything about everything within you. How you are physical, how you are emotional, how you are mentally, and all these things. But what can I use it for? Other than knowing that the healer is really good at reading my energy.
Yeah.
To me, there's not much healing in that. What I do, normally, when I have a client, I'll tell the client, don't expect me to tell you everything about you afterwards, because I'll go into this other state. I will create this room, let the healing go on. After the healing, we'll take a little chat based on your experience of the healing. Then I can explain to you, okay, when you're saying, I experienced like there was something going down here and down to here. Okay, I can go into that afterwards and say, okay, I can tell you what I see that has been going on. I've been told now, but after the healing. Based on my client's experience through the healing. It's about the client and the healing going on. It's not about me. How good am I to see all your issues?
Very true. I've seen there's a couple of healers who work in tandem, and the way they work I find totally fascinating and absorbing. One is extremely gifted at doing exactly what you've just talked about, going through the different bodies where the issues are. The other one will act on that information and work on the healing energies on those areas. And I just thought, I love that. I think that's absolutely awesome. Similar to you, well, but in reverse, my healing journey started when I was learning Reiki. I did my Reiki 1 and 2. I didn't do the number 3. So that was how I started, but I quickly found, and as an awful lot of spiritual healers will testify to, that after a while the hand positions actually became a little bit distracting. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, because everybody is different. Everybody has got their own unique talents.
Definitely.
But it does seem to be a commonality that having to keep the mind active to put the hands in the right places actually interfered with just a natural flow going on. So
yeah, and as I said before, just when we started, what I'm talking about here is my out from my own experiences, out from my own research through 25 years now. And it's not to tell anybody wrong, definitely not, because I don't have the final truth or anything. I just have many years of studies and experiences with the healing to talk from. And if anybody can take something from that, I think that would be good. Important thing to me, again, and you know me, Laurie, it's the same with the mediumship and the psychic. It's not because one is should be better than the other. It's just a difference.
indeed.
And notice when we're doing the pure spiritual healing, we are getting so much healing ourselves. When we're going into the magnetic or mental healing, we're using so much of ourselves.
Yeah.
So if a person is fine with using a lot of their own energy, they should do it. Just don't be aware that don't be aware of what it's doing to your energy and what it's doing through the energy can do to your physical body. But when you're taking everybody else's burdens on you to clean them off afterwards.
Yeah, very sound advice. Lots of comments coming in. Thank you, everybody. Lovely Fiona Parry Dodd saying, lovely to meet you, Jack, and hear about your healing journey. From my own experience as a spiritual healer and Reiki healer, psychic medium, I have become aware of how much my healing journey has changed over the years as divine spirit guide us to be a channel of their love. Have you found your healing journey and how you work with divine spirit changing over the years as you develop and grow?
Yeah, I believe so. I've got, I would say, put that way, I've got more and more faith into both myself, my good self, but definitely also the faith and trust in those from spirit that are working with me and through me. In the earlier years, when I started becoming more aware of something was going on, I started to get curious and I started to get more and more involved with it, and it took something away from my healing. So I realized that wow, and that was because I was become more conscious. Instead of being in that trance state, I became more conscious within the healing, and kind of for me took something away from the healing.
Yep.
And that was through the feedback from my clients as well at that time. So I realized I really need to go more back into looking at the altered state I am in when I'm doing the healing. Not necessarily in a trance state, but in a deeper altered state.
Yeah.
So yeah, my healing journey have been one big long development, not only within the healing, but also with myself, with my mediumship, with everything. Basically, it's brought don't know if I would call it a big understanding, but wider understanding.
Yep. Yes, it is. And we are on this perpetual journey, which does not end when we draw our last breath. We know that as spiritualists. Lovely Eva. Hello, Eva. And so what do you think about the healers who do spiritual surgery, such as the shamans do?
I haven't seen shamans do spiritual surgery. So I'm not quite sure what you are asking about, Eva. But as I said, I have experienced what I would call spiritual surgery on my own body in Brazil. With my bag, I was sitting there, nobody nearby me, and I felt like a couple of hands just got in, grabbed my spine, and just clicked it into place. Click, click, click,
Yeah.
click, click, and I was and I was 3 inches higher when I went out of the room because I could stretch my back suddenly. I'm not sure how the shamans are doing spiritual surgery, to be honest. So it's I haven't seen it, so I can't. I don't really have any thoughts about it in that way.
Yeah.
I need a bigger explanation of it then.
Absolutely fine. A lot of comments coming in here.
Lovely.
Paul Dodd, echoing actually a point and you raised earlier. We're a lot of the time we're only as good as our teachers. So Paul Dodd is just saying, I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I was taught and teach that before giving Reiki, you always connect to the divine and to universal energy. That is the traditional Wuxi way of Reiki.
Yes.
So good to hear, Paul, that you are teaching that. We are aware some people's teachings are not so stringent.
And as I said, it's not general for Reiki. It's just experiences with different healing courses, if it's Reiki or whatever they are titled. And what I hear sometimes is just, oh, you just connect with the divine and do the healing. My next question is, how do I connect with the divine? And it's this teaching that, in my experience, sometimes it's not always, definitely not, but sometimes it's missing. It's not enough to say the words. You also need to have the technique, or what to call it, to connect to the divine.
Yeah. And sadly, as with all branches of spiritualism, there are teachers and there are teachers. And some teachers are motivated by different energies other than the spiritual.
Yeah. And as I say, there's a lot of brilliant teachers out there.
Indeed. Indeed.
I'm not going to sit here and slack anybody off.
No, it's not about that.
And that's why I'm addressing it here, because it's, as you said, it's like, just connect with the divine, just connect with spirit, just connect with, just do it. But if I don't know how to do it, it won't help me to be told that you have to connect with it before.
Indeed. So,
but it's good to hear. As I said, I know there's many good teachers out there in both in Reiki and spiritual healing and all kind of healing. The essence for me is that the difference between spiritual healing and mental healing is not about the techniques you learn. It's about the mindset you're doing the healing with.
Yeah, indeed. Somebody's just a little bit upset that we haven't tackled their comment the second it showed up. So apologies, Sarah, but as you can see, it's an unfolding evening and we are getting to things in their time. Sorry, I don't agree with your comments on Reiki. My Reiki teaching was just as much a spiritual learning as well as technique for hand positions and opening up to channel the energy. I have had spirits come through while passing Reiki to someone. I have had a spirit actually come into my body while passing the energy on. How can you say it's only a technique, especially when you feel the energy flowing through your whole body?
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's just a technique. I'm saying it's a technique. Reiki is a series of hand positions. But if you're not, as we talked about, if you're not taught how to connect with the divine, how to connect with spirits, if you've just been told just do it, and you don't have the understanding of how to do it, it sounds like you, Sarah, have the understanding or have been taught the understanding of how to do it, and that's brilliant. That is exactly what I want, what I like to hear.
Yeah, agree.
So you have to understand, when I'm talking about this, it's not about this technique is wrong or this is right. Nothing, not at all. They're all brilliant techniques, but it's so much more than a technique. And for me, that I believe that what we all should strive for to understand the mechanics behind it.
Indeed, that is such an important point. You know, we've got to, whatever we do on our spiritual pathways and understanding, we've got to engage with the spirit because we are dealing with intelligence. And we've got to match that intelligence that is coming through and available to us. In your comment there, Sarah, you were saying you were taught, and that was the key word, because
Exactly.
again, sadly, I have seen cases where the goal of teaching was the sum total of the fees at the end of the course and very little else. From what you've said there, you benefited by what we would call a more well-rounded and balanced approach to it. All these different techniques that come in, and whether this be in our healing route or our mediumistic routes or however we walk to spirit, as we're seeing at this time, we're seeing a great upsurge thanks to the internet and these times of different ideas, different thoughts, different practices coming in. I love shamanic work. I didn't know anything about shamanism until I started talking to shamanic people, and I found a resonance there. I enjoy it. But in all my different practices, I always respect and remember that all things come from God. They are not the top of the tree. They are a part and a different pathway to connecting with the divine. And this is something I see with some people. It tends to be not investigated deeply enough, you know, that everything comes from the divine. So I'm quite happy to sit in on a shamanic ritual. I'm quite happy to work on Reiki side again. I'm quite happy to listen to others talk about different religions and philosophies, because all the time we are still paying that homage to it all comes from the creator.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Where are we? Lovely Marion Frisbee. Hello, darling. She's saying the energy and intelligence of spirit is beyond our understanding. Do you know what? That answers all our questions, because I keep saying that. That is a brilliant statement. And if we set the intentions to be a channel for healing, to be part of a team, the energies will flow. On many occasions, patients have reported the feeling of other hands working in other areas to where mine were placed. The less interference from myself, the greater the influence of spirit.
Yeah, and exactly, Marian, and that's some of the experiences I have all the way back from my early experiences with the healing. clients was talking about, some clients even said they had to open their eyes during the healing because they knew I was somewhere with my hands, but there was maybe 2 or 3 other set of hands. They could feel quite physical on their body. I only have 2 hands,
Yes, I actually experienced that on Thursday. We had Brian Walker here, and he arrived early, and he said, "I've come early because I've been told you need healing." And I went, "Oh, okay." And I had 6 hands on me, and I am both feet on the ground about these things. If I did not feel another presence, I would be honest about it. But I had hands on my shoulder, hands on my head, and hands on my feet. Well, I'm 6 foot, so even if he did have 6 hands, he couldn't have reached 6 foot to hold me toes. So yeah, brilliant. Little theme coming up here with a couple of the comments. Just we need to, just talk about these things. We're all over 21. We're all grown up. When Jack used the word technique, everything is a technique.
Yeah.
When I connect with spirit, I use a technique, and that technique changes over time. It's that thing that we can cleave to. I used to wear my magic socks when I first started as a medium. I had one pair of socks where I went out one night and blew my mind. And for about the next 6 months, my technique as getting ready to go out and do mediumship was dig out my socks.
Yeah.
You'll be pleased to hear I don't use that technique anymore.
No.
So I found the technique of Reiki in the way it was taught, in placing the hands and remembering the symbols. That started me on my journey. I'm not dismissing that technique whatsoever, and nobody in this room is using that word in the unfortunate way that some people have interpreted as slightly demeaning, because it isn't. So wonderful. Where else are we? Lovely Fiona Barry Dodd back. Love and intention to connect to divine spirit, and we all have our own unique relationship with divine spirit. Fiona, absolutely spot on. Every single one of us will talk about our own, as I've just said, my magic socks. That was my connection to the divine. I now, thankfully, have other ways. Monique Backer is asking, where can we buy these socks? I'll put them on eBay, my darling. But you know what? Healing is the fundamental to spiritualism, because not only do we practice it as an art, as a discipline, whatever, as it be psychic surgery, psychic healing, magnetic healing, spiritual healing, or the multitude thereof of different types of healing. As evidential mediums, we're working as healers most of the time.
Exactly.
We are bringing through healing for those receiving that evidence. Also, and very importantly, and often either overlooked or unacknowledged, healing for spirit. Healing doesn't stop because the physical body is no more.
Exactly.
You know, the number of times I've had somebody come through. All right, Jack, me and you have an enormous row. Well, no, actually, it's more likely to be Lola. Me and Lola are going to have an enormous row. And then, put it in basic English, I pop me clogs and go over the other side. And in my time, I think, you know what? I really could have handled that a lot better.
Yeah.
My healing would be able to find a suitable medium to come back to Lola. And Lola's probably sat there going, I don't want to talk to him. That's fine. But actually, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And all I want to do is say, I'm sorry, because that is part of the process of my spirit healing.
Yeah. And as you said, one of the things that brought me into the evidential healing or the evidential mediumship was because I realized the healing within it.
Indeed.
So I could both work with the loved ones, but at the same time, I could work with this healing. And if I can just add a little bit to this with the techniques, we're talking about very much about the techniques of healing. But again, as I said, techniques of connecting to the divine, to spirits, to our guides and helpers. As I said, for me, it's based on a prayer. I don't know what you are doing, Lawrence, but for me, it's the technique is I've created my own prayer that seems to work. When I'm teaching, and it doesn't matter if it's teaching healing or teaching mediumship or what I'm teaching, it's with that connection with spirit or with the divine. For me as a teacher, I'm overlooking the energy the student is working in. So if I'm teaching healing, I will watch them do the healing. I'll talk to them, try to do like so and so to make that connection, try to do so and so to create that room, and I will watch them do it. I will read the energy while they're doing it. I can see read in the energy when a guide, helper, the divine energy, whatever comes in, I can see it within the energy, so I can help them to say, well, you know what? Right now, you're actually going in on a magnetic. A magnetic relation with your clients. So that way, I'm letting them know what you're doing now is so and so.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
And now you have. And now you have the divine. Now you have a spirit. Your guides help us there, or you have a loved one there. So I can help my students to understand what is going on when I'm doing so and what's going on when I'm doing so. So it is very much down to the teacher, in my belief, and the teacher's understanding of the energies and the teacher's ability to actually read those energies and tell their students, now you're doing so, now you're doing so.
Indeed.
We can explore it ourselves, but it will just take so much more time.
Yeah, indeed. And
we are often talking about we need the quick fix. The quick fix we can have with the tutor that understand how to make us grow. I've been lucky. I've had some great tutors over the years as well. Have great friends, colleagues to have debates with about it and discussions about, well, when we're doing so and so, what's your understanding of this and what's my understanding of this. So through all this, get a wider understanding of the mechanics and the understanding of what is actually behind all this.
Indeed, it is. It's about knowledge and
when
education.
we're talking about these techniques, it's not that, to me, it's not that connecting to the spirits, connecting to the divine. It's not that one technique is working for everybody.
Indeed, we develop our own.
My mediumship healing, evidential mediumship, is basically based on a prayer. For other people, it will work to stand on one leg and say "Kikalake," you know. But no matter what your technique, what your ceremony or whatever you're doing, if it's working, it's right for you, and that's the essence to me. And again, it's not that one is better than the other. It's just there's so many difference because we are all we all as human beings are different. As spirit are different. And I believe when we get the understanding of this, it becomes we can make it so much easier for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope it makes sense, but
it makes perfect sense, Jack. I always say I am right for me at this time. So what I do is right for me. If it doesn't match what you do, doesn't make me wrong, and it doesn't make you right.
Not at all. Not at all.
Because we are two totally unique energies on our own unique pathway. Phil Shaw is asking a question here. He's asking, would appreciate your views on trance healing, NFSH ruling. Thank you. I don't know about you, Jack. We are not part of the NFSH, which is the National Federation of Spiritual Healers. I will say that Paul Church, we belong to two separate governing bodies over our time here. And I'll be very, very honest here. What I found, the interaction between us and the governing bodies was I had no end of people telling me what I could not do. I had nobody to assist me in what I should be doing. So based upon that, I dissolved all our assignations with various spiritual healing bodies. And the church itself now has its own insurance cover for its own healers, which the church itself pays because we pay to employ an evidential medium to get up on a platform and give a service.
Yes.
But we expect our healers to put their hands in their own pocket and pay for their own insurance and be total abeyance to an impartial third party who is insisting, regardless of your experience, and this is one of the defining cases why I pulled our affiliations, that I had a healer who had 25 years experience as being a spiritual healer, had recommendations that were absolutely glowing testimonies from well-known people, but he still had to do the 2 years training under observance by this body before they would give him a certificate. And I get that. I get that from the insurance because this diktat is passed on by their insurance firm.
Yeah.
But I thought, you know what? There's got to be a better way. So now we've taken control of the legality side. We have a very formulaic way of enrolling our healers. The insurance is met by the church because they are performing their duties within the church on behalf of the church. Their actual development comes in many ways through a variety of workshops, for instance. Lovely Fiona, who's in today, just advertised her workshop and 6 of our healers have signed up for it straight away. Other healers have attended other workshops based on healing, and plus what we do in our own development circle. As for trance healing, from me, I'm sorry, Jack, to weigh in on this, but I do need these things out there. Trance healing, you're a healer. Now, if you do your healing stood there with your hands on your shoulders, if you do your healing, and I love the way you just said that, Jack, without any physical contact, if you do your healing through trance, if you do your healing through psychic surgery, it matters not in my book. That is the way you, as an individual, work on your healing. And as long as you are observing all the abeyances and we can see no sign of the ego coming in, which I am a trance healer, I can remove this, that, and it, and just think, really? You're not filling up my bin with bits of body, mate. Go and heal somewhere else. So trance healing, if you're a trance healer and you are connected and you are working for the highest and best in service to the spirit world, you're a healer, and carry on.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Jack?
I very much agree with you, and I think we have this heal organization here in Denmark as well, where the same way where you have to go through all these things to be recognized as a healer and all these things. And I believe that there should be something like that. I'm not necessarily agree with the way it's done. Because, as I said, to me, it's not about all the certificates you can have. It's about the work you're doing. But of course, to be recognized as a healer, if you have, like you said, 25 years of experience, you have a lot of recommendations of well-known people and all these things. They should be as good as a vegan course or free, where you have been taught some again, I would call it techniques, because learning techniques that does make you a healer, but the techniques can be a way for many people to be a healer.
Indeed.
Indeed. And again, if you are going to put this on, you need, to me, you need some kind of examination or something like we have in the evidential mediumship. You can go to exams, but how are you going to measure the healer?
Yeah.
How are you going to measure the healer? Of course, you can, as I talked about, you can go in and read the energies. But who, again, so those people who is going to assess those exams in healing, who is going to access those accessors to give them the right to be the judges, those that can read the energies right?
That is very pertinent.
It's so much easier when we have the evidential mediumship, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you say so and so and so, and yeah, that's we can put that on paper. With the healing, it's so much more complicated to put it in on paper, to put it on and as you said, to me, it's very much about the years of experience.
Yeah, and the intent.
More than the certificate. It's like if you're taking a driver license, it doesn't make you a brilliant driver. It just tells that you have learned the techniques and the rules of to get out in the traffic.
Yeah.
Take years to get that experience where you will be a good driver. And some people will never be a good driver. And some people will be a good driver with minor teaching.
I don't drive because I'm frightened of other cars, which on the road is really not a good thing.
No, so I mean, it's again, it comes very much down to the individual. Some people is getting it faster than others, as in every other aspects in life. Some just have I don't like the word, but some people have a greater talent for it than others.
Yeah, and it's the application as well of healing.
Yeah.
You may have somebody who has absolutely well, in fact, I know somebody, I'm just talking about them. Absolutely no interest, no belief, no wherewithal whatsoever about spiritualism, the beliefs, the practices, and what we do. And you know what? This person is one of the greatest healers I know, because she goes into areas where a lot of us would fear to tread. And she sits there quietly and working through inspiration from spirit, talks people down, talks people into a calmer state, talks people into a space where they will stop being so self-destructive and start to reconstruct themselves. Her abilities on rehabilitation are phenomenal. But no, you can't talk dead people, load of rubbish. And I just look at her and smile because I think, you know what, love? You are one of the greatest mediums I know.
Exactly.
Because the work you do is so tangible, so measurable.
And you know, when you're saying that's when I'm teaching, having new students, I usually ask them, what do you do? And I meet a lot of people that is saying, I'm just a healer.
Yeah.
To me, healing is the finest form of mediumship, the finest communication, not with words, but within the energy. So
Exactly.
nobody's just a healer.
Exactly.
I could say I'm just a medium.
Yeah, nobody ever says that.
You can be a medium without being a healer, but you can't be a healer without being a medium.
Yeah. Lynn Clark there has put in a very wonderful comment. Thank you, Lynn. All healers have a different way of healing, and there are no right or wrongs.
Exactly.
It's about intent, working with the energy, unconditional love, just giving. It's absolute joy. And she's saying she has no idea about technique, but make sure that she says a prayer and close down afterwards. And Lynn, that works for you well because you are very highly regarded as one of the church healers here. I hear often the comments and positive comments about the healing that you have given. So, yeah, well said there, Lynn. Touched on something here about, I will bring this one up. Leslie, absolutely. We do have to have rules and some regulations to protect the clients. I fully understand that. Lynn, who just commented, and one of our other healers went through various societies' books. We drafted our own regulations for our in-church healers. This was partly to ensure people coming to the church were under the umbrella of being looked after and various other legal documents we must adhere to. Also for the insurance company's benefits, that we have a guideline, but we drafted that, Lynn and Jenny drafted that themselves, and after a little bit of tweaking, that was put into production and put into print. So I'm not saying, no, we don't need regulations. In fact, I think going forward, where money is going to get tighter, that we should start looking at people offering healing and asking the sensible questions. If they were to come to your house, for instance, to do healing, would they ask, first of all, are you on your own? Or I would prefer if I would never enter somebody's house, and regardless of sex, sexual, right, drag me out of this hole, Jack. Regardless of their sexuality, I would never go into somebody's house as a one-to-one basis, because I am putting both of us at risk of things being said that may not have occurred. So yeah, we do need the regulations, but yeah, and I agree with you. Sometimes some of these rulings, I do see with a lot of the institutions regarding healings, there's an awful great big litany of things that you must not do. And I just wonder what Spirit's view of that is. Sometimes, obviously, the practical things, touching areas, etc. Yeah, they've got to be done. But some of the things regarding how you actually interact with Spirit, and people say, no, you don't do that. You know what? I've never heard a Spirit say to me, you don't do that. They may suggest another way, but I've never had a Spirit communication say you mustn't do this or you must do that.
No.
So apologies. Mary Dixie brings up a very good point about what we've come into now, this part of the talk about the energy. And people in certain jobs, professional occupations, are natural healers. Hairdressers are forever being confused by mediums telling them they could do healing. I have on several occasions had to tell people they're already a healer because of their work. Well done, Mary.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think we have to remember sometimes that healing comes in many ways. Healing comes like musicians, songwriters, and things. So much healing within music, within a lot of music. It's like mentioned hairdressers, therapists in different kinds. Social workers of different kind, so many ways of working with the healing energy, and we have those people that I just call them natural healers, because they're just doing so much healing. They're not even aware of it. It can be the hairdresser, it can be whatever they're doing, even the builder for that sake. That is just that natural heal, just because of the way they are talking to people and the way they are around people.
Indeed, absolutely.
So healing has so many different forms and forms and ways that way. But when we are talking about being a healer, doing healing, as we are talking about here, it's typical. We are thinking of, we have a healer, we have a client is in a chair, on a bench, or something like that. Yeah. So it's, but we have to think, remember, as talked about, the natural way we're doing healing for our kids and things. When our kids comes, oh, I have a headache, I have bruised my knee. What are we doing? We are blowing a little bit on and putting a plaster on, and that's a healing in itself. The child just putting a hand on the shoulder if somebody is sad, that's healing.
Yeah,
but it's not the way we think healing when we are talking about being a healer.
Yeah, very true. Some strange gentleman has just wandered into the room. Good evening, Mr. Abbott. How nice of you to join us. Thank you. And he's asking, where does healing finish and evidential mediumship start? Healing can be very evidential in its own right, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. As we mentioned earlier, within what actually brought me into the evidential healing, the evidential mediumship, was I realized the amount of healing that could be in it, and I think that's why I'm looking as yourself, Tim, are looking so much into the factual evidence, the clear and precise evidence, because through that, for me, and I can only talk for myself, for me, when I'm bringing, getting those kind of evidence, that brings spirit closer, is the way I experience it. And the closer I have spirit when I'm working with my evidential mediumship, the more healing can come through. We're going back to what I talked about earlier, creating this room for the healing to take place. We can do that in science, but we could do that as well within the evidential mediumship by using the words, using the evidence to bring that love, to bring that healing, to bring that divine forward to the recipient. So I don't think the healing finish for the evidential mediumship to take place, but I believe that the evidential mediumship starts on the back of the healing, basically.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Tim. Lovely Robert Berendt from Germany. Good evening, sir. What a pleasure it is for you to join us. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And he's just observing here, his Syrian hairdresser, he has a radiation, calmness, and an energy which makes Robert relax every time totally and fall asleep on some occasions. Fall asleep with your hairdresser, Robert. It's probably not a wise move. You might end up
And I think that sounds good. I won't have time to fall asleep with my hairdresser.
I didn't want to go there, Jack, but as he brought it up. Absolutely. Do you know what? That was a really wonderful, wonderful evening, and we've only just touched the surface there. The lovely Robert, who is in the room with us, I have invited to give a three-way discussion with the wonderful Jack one night, and we really hope one night that you take us up on that, Robert, because your healing is sublime. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. No, that's not the right word. It is a shame that certain words seem to have sparked off certain thought processes within people. And sadly, this is a bit of a symptom of our time at the moment, that a word said can be taken in many multitude of ways and ignorant to the energy of how it was said. So we're all wonderful people, and you know what? We're all here on this journey together, so let's get on. Hold on. We've got something here from the lovely Tim. And Tim is in Norway at the moment, running a seminar, and today I was receiving some trance healing from one of the students. And I became aware it was my sister from spirit I was hearing. Suddenly, the student began to speak whilst in trance, and the words were as follows: "Brother, I love you." And it brought him to tears. How beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
How beautiful is that? And one of the... How much time have you got, Jack? One of our healing sessions here, we've replaced some of the evidential services with pure healing only. And I always encourage questions and answers. And that one question came up saying, why is it frowned upon to give messages when you are working as a healer? Now, this might spark quite a few comments. My response was, number one, when was the last time you saw an evidential medium come off the platform and start practice healing halfway through a service? Number two, in many instances, and Tim has given a fabulous instance of where it was appropriate, in many instances, as far as mediumship goes, quite frankly, it's just not good enough. It is not good enough to say, I've got your mother here. That is not mediumship. That is just at the best, psychic attachment. At the other side of the coin could just be, I need some sort of validation for what I'm doing, because that's really difficult as a healer. You know, evidential mediums, we get yes or no, so we get instant validation. Healers, we have to just go along with the flow and know that we're doing our best and trust it is being received on the level it needs to be received. Definitely. What's your thoughts on
that? I think I say this idea of, when we're doing the evidential mediumship, it's so clear. We can say yes, we can say no. When we are doing the healing, I believe actually in the evidential mediumship as well, the best person to measure the healing is the client, isn't it?
Yeah.
And not, in my belief, not through what I can tell them as a healer, as a medium, but what they have experienced through the energy. And the same way when we're working with the evidential mediumship, then they will have both the energy and the words, the evidence to measure it with.
Yeah, indeed.
Because what is a great evidence for one person may be nothing to another person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that goes with the evidential mediumship as well as the healing. Some people, I believe some people will think like I know I usually if somebody have a bad headache, I can usually have do a short healing, 3 to 5 minutes, to, if not taking it, make it go away, at least release it so much so that they can go on with their day. For some people, that is, wow, that's amazing, that's great evidence, and for other people, it's, oh yeah, of course you put a hand on, so that will have an effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very true.
So I believe it's very much down to the individual and down to the recipient.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And a few people agreeing here about the mixing of evidential mediumship and healing. Julie Erickson points out something that was pointed out to me, that people may start coming to you and they're not interested in the healing side. They want the quick fix of the message. So yes, that is a gamut that we run if we go down that pathway. Leslie Moulton from Wimbledon: for me, healing and mediumship work on different levels and shouldn't be mixed. If you are healing and giving messages, then you are not healing 100%. Agree fully there. Also, people want to come for a message. And again, and I've seen that. But I think, go on, Jack,
yeah, I would agree with that. We shouldn't be doing healing whilst we're giving messages. Sometimes we can have, when we are in translate, as Tim just had an example from a student, while being in trance state, sometimes there can come a few words. In my experience, it won't be a long, like a long message. Oh, your mom is here within the healing, and she says to you so and so, and blah blah blah. Not like that. It would typically be a short sentence that will just support the healing, but that will be in an trance state. But yeah, I totally agree. We cannot be focused 100% on both doing the healing, holding this room whilst we're giving messages. When I'm talking about the evidence or the healing within the evidential mediumship, it's not a healing session, but it's an evidential session where the healing is taking place in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anybody watching,
we shouldn't mix it. I've said that a lot of times, and it come back to, it's not up to me as a healer to during the healing to tell the client, oh, now I'm doing this, now I see this, and so on. It should be focused on the healing. After the healing, we can have a chat about the healing. Yeah. So I totally agree with that one. Yeah.
Lovely Robert there is in concurrence with this train of thought. Yes, it's totally his view. Why? While healing, you're in a passive state of consciousness. During evidential mediumship, you're active in your mind. Both is not possible. Yeah, agree.
Exactly.
And anybody thinking, well, hold on, a bit of double standards here. You're saying it's all right for Tim, but it's not all right for other people. You've got to take things in context. Tim is a absolutely magical and dedicated worker for spirit, well comfortable with trance state, both working in and teaching. Can you imagine the energy that must have been in that room today? Can you just imagine it? It would have been palpable. And how beautiful that Tim was aware it was his sister, and then also receive that confirmation, because that is the magic of working with spirit. It's not about other people's validations of what you're doing. It's your own validation.
Yeah.
If I were to think, I feel my mother close, and then somebody just say some succinct little phrase that confirms that, that's the magic. That's the magic, and it's needed for that time. But yeah, how interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Denise Lambert. I won't put that comment up on screen. We don't say the word bugger on my programs, all right? yeah, absolutely wonderful evening. I could go on forever talking about this, and that's the joy, and that's something we've really got to remember as well, that we do go on forever. Not every achievement, not every success, not every summit that we're going to come to is going to happen in this physical span. We are a continually evolving being of light. And as we exhale our last breath here and inhale our first breath in the life between lives, that journey continues. And that is the beauty of spiritualism to me. So everybody, thank you everybody for coming in tonight. Jack, lovely Lola, thank you for being here tonight, giggling away in the side there. Next, pleasure. Next week, we have Irene Hall, who will be a guest of the church staying here. So we can have one of our Chesterfield chats, which is absolutely wonderful, where Irene and I are talking to each other on camera and taking questions and discussing topics within spiritualism. So thank you, everybody. I realize it's invoked various reactions within people. Absolutely wonderful, because spiritualism also to me is a very active religion, philosophy, way of life. And if we all just sat there and had the same consensus and the same principles and the same thoughts, where's the growth in that? Jack, any final words from you, sir?
Yeah, I would like to just finish up of whatever I have said. It's not about right or wrongs. It's just about whatever you're doing, how you're doing it. Just know what you're doing and be good at what you're doing.
Exactly.
And that's the essence in it for me. It's not about one is right or not, another one is wrong. And I'm sorry if I haven't made that clear throughout. But it is really about just know what you're doing.
Exactly.
And be good at it.
My philosophy too, I say that to everybody that comes in the church. I don't care what you're going to be, but I do care that you can be the best of what you're going to be. And that's what you should cling on to. Everybody, have a wonderful night. Yeah, just have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to catching up again soon.